we've talked to a lot of couples and a lot of married couples, and all of them at some point in the marriage have some kind of like very dark period where the marriage is very much on the rocks. But it seems to happen, I'm sure there's some kind of statistical average, but it seems to happen for people at very different points in their marriage. But it does make sense to me that the first 2 years of marriage would be very happy, because it's something that most people, I think, have been waiting to do, whether you've been with your partner 8 years before you get married or, 1 year before you get married. It's exciting, right? You've been waiting to marry that person. You finally get married. It's an extended honeymoon. You're unpacking all of your, wedding gifts and whatever and using them and being a couple together, and it's official, and you get to say, oh, my husband, oh, my wife, whatever. So I can see that. I think if kids is the correlation to the dip, that makes a ton of sense also, because they're such a resource strain, and suddenly where you were focused on each other, you can no longer be focused on each other. You have to have, your focus has to shift to keeping this new life alive. It would be interesting to see for couples who don't have kids, whether or not that's true, whether, the honeymoon period does wear off, or your shift starts to focus someplace else, or your focus starts to shift someplace else. So I'm curious.
The correlation?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. I'm so excited.
Tell me.
The correlation is not tied to children, which I love, because you bitch about our kids so much. You complain about parenthood so much. And I don't think that's a you thing, my love. I think that that's a very common thing.
Yeah.
I think that in every married couple, and this is just me riffing, this is me guessing, in every married couple, there must be, it just makes logical sense that one parent would be much less enthusiastic about being a parent. Like, one parent must be like more introverted, more socially exhausted, more challenged by the notion of raising children. I mean, I'm guessing that there are plenty of relationships out there where both people are very discouraged and exhausted by having children.
Mm-hmm.
But even when both people are exhausted, one of them must be more exhausted.
Yeah.
But we all feel like we have to be super parents. We all feel like we have to be constantly energized and always positive and always supportive. And we don't forgive ourselves for those moments where we're not those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I found so interesting is when I first read the study, I was thinking exactly like you were thinking. Oh yeah, there's a honeymoon period, and oh, you're my husband, oh, you're my wife, I've always wanted to marry you, and I'm so in love, and then kids come, and and everything falls apart. And surely those couples with no kids, or those couples that never get married, must be so much happier.
Uh-huh.
None of that is the empirical case.
Really?
In fact, the happiness rating for long-term couples that do not get married is 25% as happy as the couples that get married. So by getting married, you are increasing the odds of happiness for you individually 400%. I think that's crazy, that if you just remain single, which is what you and I both talked about before we ever got married, the idea of never falling into the formal structure of marriage and never officially tying the knot and we're going to reject the man and we're going to do whatever else. Remember that?
Yeah.
We were cutting off our own potential happiness by as much as 4x, 400%. If you like this short clip, make sure you click here to see the next clip, or here to see the full podcast episode.
Freedom! So fresh, so new.